Hi, everyone, and welcome back. We're going to talk about yet another way to determine the winner of a preferential ballot voting system. We've so far talked about instant runoff and board accounts. Those both had Olive coming out as the winner. They don't have to always match each other, but they ended up so far, and we'll see if that turns out to be the case for this as well. So the method we're going to talk about today is looking for a Condorcet winner, and that is done by looking at head-to-head matchups between individual pairings of opponents. So basically, a Condorcet winner is someone who would beat every other candidate if they were the only two people in the race. And we can determine this by looking at the ballots that have been cast and eliminating all of the candidates except for those two. Because we have an election with three candidates, we have three possible matchups. We have Ned versus Olive, Ned versus Peter, and Olive versus Peter. It's not always 3-3, so if you had four candidates, then you'd have quite a bit more different matchups that you would have to look at. But we're going to go through these and see who the winner is in each head-to-head matchup, and then determine whether we have a Condorcet winner or not at the end. All right, so first things first, we go with Ned versus Olive. So here are our ballots once again, and we're going to convert these to head-to-head ballots by just eliminating all of the candidates except for Ned and Olive. So that means Peter is going to be removed from each one of these, and so, for example, the NOP ballots get changed to just NO. We remove the P. The OPN gets replaced with ON. And I've color-coded these according to who is the first place vote getter on each of the ballots. The red ones are Ned, and the blue ones are Olive. So now we just have to add up how many go for each candidate. Ned is the first place on 11 plus 15 plus 13, right? 11, 15, and 13. And that adds up to 39 total ballots. And Olive is first on the remaining 61. So Olive wins this head-to-head matchup. Then we go on to the next head-to-head matchup. In this case, it's Ned versus Peter. And again, we take the same ballots, except now we're going to eliminate Olive, who isn't either Ned or Peter. And so, for example, the NOP ballots become NP ballots. ONP becomes NP. And we have them color-coded as before. Ned has 11 plus 15 plus 18 this time for a total of 44 ballots, whereas Peter is first place on 56. So Peter wins this head-to-head. And there's one more left to try. Next, we have Olive versus Peter. So in this case, we're going to eliminate N from all of the ballots. N is going to be struck, and we're going to see what we have left. And when we do that, we have the following arrangement, right? The same ballots, just, without the Ned included. And then for Olive, we have 11 plus 18 plus 22 is 51. And for Peter, the remaining 49. So this might look familiar. This head-to-head matchup is actually what was the last round of the runoff election, right? Because remember, we eliminated Ned, and then we got just Olive versus Peter. So Olive wins here. So there were three matches. Every one that had Olive in it, Olive was the winner of. So that makes her the Condorcet winner. You can only ever have one Condorcet winner, right? Because you can't have won all of your matchups if someone else also won all of their matchups, because what would have happened when you faced each other? So there can only ever be one Condorcet winner, which is nice. However, it's possible that there are no Condorcet winners. Even in a three-person election, that can happen. For example, if we had Ned defeating Olive, and Olive defeating Peter, and Peter defeating Ned. Now, it might seem like that couldn't happen, but in fact it can. All you have to do is think about like a round-robin tournament, and this kind of thing happens all the time. But even with ballots being the thing that is determining every one of the matchups, it is possible to get cyclic winners like this. And in that case, there's no Condorcet winner. And that's why this method, this head-to-head method, is not generally used as a way of figuring out who the winner of an election is, because you could have inconclusive elections, which is not at all satisfying, kind of defeats the purpose of having an election. What will often happen instead is that you would combine this with one of the other systems, because in some sense, a Condorcet winner is a true winner. You want to always pick someone who would beat every other individual candidate head-to-head. And that's not guaranteed to happen with instant runoff or with board account or any of the other methods. So sometimes you'll get a hybrid method where you would say, well, we're going to take, if there's a Condorcet winner, they win. Otherwise, we use some other method instant runoff or board account or something like that to determine who the winner is. All right, so that's Condorcet Winners. They're the ideal. That's kind of what we're looking for in a lot of ways, but